raise our voice to say, everything written about you is great. Demons tremble at your presence. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, everything, yeah. Everything written about you is great. Demons tremble at your presence. What a mighty God we serve. You walked upon the sea. Oh, Jordan. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Everything, yeah. Everything written. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. You are great. You are great. You are great. You are great. You are. You are great. You are great. Strong and mighty God. Hey, say you are great. You are. Say you are great. Oh, everything, yeah. Oh, yeah. Raise the voices. Raise the voices. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Say you are great. Oh, you are great. Oh, yeah, yeah. You walked upon the sea. You made the land to us. Oh, everything, yeah. You are great, so great. We worship you, Lord, King of kings and Lord of lords. Oh, so great you are, doing marvelous things. Everything written about you, yeah.
I love you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I love you. Oh, I thank you, Jesus. God, you are merciful. You are take all the glory, take all the honor. Mercy is great.
You are great, yes, you are Holy One. Walked upon the sea, raised the dead. Reign in majesty, mighty God. Everything written about you is great. You are great, yes, you are Holy One. Walked upon the sea, raised the dead. You reign in majesty, mighty God. Everything written about you is great. You are great. You are great. You are great. You are great. Oh yeah. Say you are great. Say you are great. Everything, yeah. You are great. You are great. Oh, you are great. You are.
sent from the Savior above. Showers of blessings, showers of blessings. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. There shall be showers of blessing, pressure reviving again over the east and the valleys, land of abundance of rain. Showers of blessings, mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. There shall be showers of blessing, send them upon us, O Lord. Grant to us my refreshing, come and honor thy word. Showers of blessings, showers of blessings we need. Mercy just round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. There shall be showers of blessing, oh that today they might fall. Now as to God we're confessing, now as on Jesus we call. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Blessings drops round us are falling, for the shower that we need. Showers of blessings, showers of blessing we need. Blessings drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. Amen. Let us pray. Everlasting Father, we thank you. King of glory, we bless your name. Because we are among the living today to come around to worship you, Father, we say thank you, Lord. Thank you for divine visitation this morning. Because we are part of your program, that's why you've come today to visit us. Thank you for ordering our steps onto this gathering today. Father, be thou exalted in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we have come to see you. We have not come to see any human being today. Father, reveal yourself unto us in the mighty name of Jesus. Meet every one of us at our point of healing of the body, healing of the spirit. Let it happen today in the mighty name of Jesus. The word of God says he sent his word and healed them and delivered them from all their destructions. Let the healing power in your word deliver your people today in the mighty name of Jesus. At the end of today, Lord, let every soul present here be blessed of the Lord in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, Almighty Father. Blessed be your name forevermore. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. And the church of God shall say, Amen. Hallelujah.
Still into the attitude of worship, let's begin to worship God. Let's give him all the glory and honor. Let's adore his holy name. He's a faithful God. He's an awesome God. Let's bless God this morning. The Bible says, bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name. Let's just thank God. Let's not forget all his benefits. Let's not forget all his mercies. Just think of what God has done to you. Just say thank you. Just say thank you to Jesus. You are here this morning. Some that we slept yesterday night, they are nowhere to be found. That is the first miracle of today. God woke you up. It wasn't your alarm. It's not because you're good. But God is just a faithful God. Let's just bless him. He's an awesome God. Thank you, Jesus. Lord, we worship you. Thank you, Jehovah. Lord, we say thank you. Thank you, Jesus. He's an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power. Our God is an awesome God. Our God
He's an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Our God is a faithful God. Our God is the I am that I am. He's the one who says yes and no man can say no. He's the one who opens the door and no man can shut. Just lift your hands this morning and say unto him, God is an awesome. Our God,
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. The heaven and angels bow. Let the redeemed worship you now. Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Holy are you, Lord.
Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord.
The heaven and angels bow. Let the redeemed worship you now.
Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord.
Holy are you, Lord.
Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord.
Oh, the heaven and angels
Bow, let the redeemed worship you now. Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord.
holy are you, Lord.
Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord. Holy, holy, holy are you, Lord.
more time. I lift my hands in praise of your name. I lift my hands in praise of your name.
I praise you, Lord. I praise you. I praise you. Oh Lord, I praise you. I praise you. Oh Lord, in my life, I see what you're doing. One more time, I lift my hands in praise of your name. I lift my hands in praise of your name. Hallelujah! Are we ready to dance unto God this morning? Aya, 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 aya. Jesus, aya, aya,
Aya, aya. Aya, 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 aya. Lift Jesus higher.
aya, 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 aya. Jesus, aya, 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 aya. Jesus, aya, 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 aya. Leave Jesus, aya.
Aya, aya. say Jehovah na God.
Happy you don't know say Jehovah na God.
Happy you don't know say Jehovah na
Oh,
God.
Jesus, now you be your God. Jesus, now you be your God. All other gods, not so so yeah yeah. Every other god, not so so yeah yeah. All other gods, not so so yeah yeah.
Every other God, that's so yeah yeah.
Jesus, now you be your God.
Jesus, now you be your God. Jesus, now you be your God. All other gods, that's so yeah yeah. Every other God, that's so yeah yeah. All other gods, that's so yeah yeah. Every other God, that's so yeah yeah.
Jesus, now you be your God.
Jesus, now you be your God. Jesus, now you be your God. All other gods, that's so yeah yeah. Every other God, that's so yeah yeah. All other gods, that's so yeah yeah. Every other God, that's so yeah yeah.
Jesus, now you be your God.
Jesus, now you be your God. Jesus, now you be your God. All other gods,
That's so yeah yeah. Every other
God, that's so yeah yeah.
all other gods, not so so yeah yeah. Every other god. Ale ale hallelujah. 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 so much for me. I cannot tell it all. If I have 10,000 tongues, it still would be enough. Chukwu Nairobi mo, when you completely. What are you here to render to God? What shall I render to Jehovah? For He has done so very much for me. What shall I render to Jehovah? For He has done so very much for me. Nara, 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 God has been so faithful. What shall we render to Jehovah? For He has done so. For the gift of life, for the gift of health, for the gift of shelter, for the gift of living. Let's just give God all the glory and Jehovah. For He has done so very much for me. Nara, 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 nara,
What shall I render to Jehovah? For He has done so very much for me. What shall I render to Jehovah? For He has done so very much for me. Nara, 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 narekele, shout to the Lord and the Lord, let us sing. Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down and the seas we roll at the sound of your name. I sing for joy at the works of your hand. Forever I love you, forever I sing. Nothing compared to the Messiah with you. My Jesus, my my Savior. Lord, there is none like you. All of my days. All of my days. I want to praise the wonders of your mighty love. My comfort, my shelter. My comfort, my shelter, powers of refuge and strength. Let every breath, all that I am, never cease to worship you. Shout to the Lord, all the earth, let us sing. Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down and the seas will roll at the sound of your name. Shout to the Lord and the works of your hand. Forever I love you, forever I stand. Nothing compared to the promise I have with you. Just go ahead and magnify the name of the Almighty God. Begin to magnify His name. Is worthy of all our praises. There is none like our God. There is none that can be compared to Him. He is the King of kings, the makers of the whole universe, the I am that I am, the unchangeable changer, the same yesterday and forever. Begin to magnify the name of the Almighty God for all He has done for you. Give Him glory, give Him honor. Let your heart jump for joy. Let your heart magnify His name. He's worthy of all our praises. There is none like our God. There is none that can be compared to our God. It's our God, is our maker. It's Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nissi, the Lord that provides for you, Jehovah Jireh. Bless His holy name this morning. Bless His holy name this morning. Magnify His holy name this morning. He's the one that keeps you. He's the one that protects you. He's the one that makes a way for you. He's the one that establishes you. He's the one that answers your prayer. It's your maker, it's your redeemer. He's the one that keeps you from all the hands of your enemy. He's the one that gives you victory over every battle of life. Magnify His name. He's worthy of all our praise. He's worthy to be praised. He's worthy to be adored. Praise the name of the Lord Almighty today. Say, Father, I thank you. Say, Father, I thank you, O Lord Father. In the mighty name of Jesus, O Lord Father. Say, Father, we thank you, O Lord Father, Lord. I just want to praise you, Lord. And I lift my hands to say, I love you. You are everything to me. I exalt your holy name. I exalt your holy name. I exalt your holy name. Oh Lord, I just want you to exalt His holy name. If truly you know it's your God, if truly you know that God is on your side, begin to exalt His holy name. Begin to magnify His holy name. Begin to praise Him. Begin to call His name. Say, Father, you are my Father, you are my maker. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. You are the one that keepeth me. You are the one that answereth me all my prayer. You are the one that fight my battle. Exalt His holy name. Exalt His holy name this morning. Magnify his name, O Lord. Thank God for all he has done for you. He has done so much for you. You cannot tell it all. Begin to count your blessing. Begin to name them one by one. You will begin to see what God has done for you. Magnify his holy name this morning. He's worthy of all our praises, his mighty Father. Thank you, our Father. In Jesus' mighty name, we have given thanks. This is prayer session. Let's open our Bible to the book of Genesis. The Spirit of God is leading us in line with what we study in the Sunday school today. I want us to open our Bible to Genesis 26. And I want us to read together verse 22. Technical. Genesis 26. I want us to read together verse 22. Let's read together. 1, 2, go. And he removed from thence and dig another well. And for that day they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now the Lord had made room for us, and we shall be fruitful. We all know that story. From that, the Bible says, and from that day, and they strove not. We are going to pray to God this morning. Father, put an end to toiling for me. I don't know the area of your life you have been striving, you have been fighting, you have been. Say, Father, put an end to struggle, put an end to hard work, put an end to anything that is not of you today. In my life, oh Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus, oh Lord. Put an end to toiling in the mighty name of Jesus. Put an end to eating, walking like elephant, eating like an ant. Put anything that make me to strive. Put an end to it today. In the mighty name of Jesus, Father, I cry unto you and I pray for all my brothers today. Father, put an end to toiling. In the mighty name of Jesus, oh Lord, put an end to labor. In the mighty name of Jesus, put an end to anything that is not compatible to the promise of God concerning their life. In the mighty name of Jesus, Father, we declare today, O Lord, put an end to struggle. In the mighty name of Jesus, O Lord, Father, Lord. Father, I declare and I declare, O Lord, I will not struggle. In the mighty name of Jesus, O Lord, Father, Lord. Thank you, our Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, now the Lord had made room for us. We are going to cry to God and say, Father, made room for me, O Lord, Father, Lord. Maybe because you have not have enough room, that's why you are not be promoted in your workplace. Say, Father, in that my career, make room for me. In the mighty name of Jesus, in that my office, make a room for me. In the mighty name of Jesus, O Lord, Father, Lord. In this land of Canada, make a room for me. In the mighty name of Jesus, I want you to begin to pray. Begin to pray to God and say, Father, make a room for me, O Lord, Father. In the mighty name of Jesus, in my career, make a room for me. In the mighty name of Jesus, in my profession, make a room for me. In the mighty name of Jesus, in my office, make a room for me. Promote me beyond my imagination. In the mighty name of Jesus, begin to pray today that God will make a room for you. Wherever you are in this land, God will make a room for you. In the land of Canada, God will make a room for you. In the land of Saskatoon, God will make a room for you. In the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, our Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. And we shall be fruitful in the land. We are going to decree and say, Father, for me and my family, we shall be fruitful in this land. In the mighty name of Jesus. For me and my family, and for every member of Grace Sanctuary family, we shall be fruitful in this land. In the mighty name of Jesus. I shall be fruitful. My wife shall be fruitful. My children shall be fruitful. Every member of Grace Sanctuary shall be fruitful. In the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, our Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you. We bless your name. Father, thank you for the opportunity we have to gather together as a church today. Thank you for the manifestation of your power in our midst. Father, be thou exalted in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, as we have decreed, so shall it be. In the mighty name of Jesus. In this land, make a room for us. In the mighty name of Jesus. And every one of us, we shall be fruitful in this land. In the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, our Father. Blessed be your name forevermore. Father, as we continue with us. Send a word to us, a word that will liberate every one of us today in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Almighty Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
We are here to sing a song or bless you with a song titled Wonderful Love. As you listen, may God bless you in Jesus' name. Your love is so wonderful. Your love is so wonderful, so high. I can't get over it. So low, I can't get under it. So wide, I can't get around it. Jesus, you give me wonderful love. Yeah, yeah. You give me wonderful love. It's so wonderful. Your love is so wonderful. It is so high, I can't get over it. It is so low, I can't get under it. So wide, I can't get around it. Jesus, you give me wonderful. Oh, so low, I can get over it. You give me wonderful love. Sing your love, your love, your love. Your love, your love, your love is so wonderful. Your love is so wonderful. It is so high, I can't get up. It is so low, I can't get under. So high, I can't get around. Jesus, you give me wonderful love. So wide, I can get around it. You give me wonderful. It is so low, I can get under it. You give me wonderful. It is so beautiful, I can run out of it. You give me wonderful. I love this. It never runs out on me. That's the kind of love that is found. It never leaves up. That's the kind of grace that is found. It never fails. That's the kind of love that is found. It never leaves. That's the kind of grace. It never fails. Oh, 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 oh. It never leaves. That's the kind of grace. It never fails. That's the kind of love that is found. It never leaves. That's the kind of grace. Sing, it never fails. It never runs out of me. It never leaves. That's the kind of grace. It never fails on me. That's the kind of love that is found. He never leaves, never gives up. That's the kind of grace. Oh, and it is so wide, I can't get up. It is so low, I can't get up. Oh, so wide, I can't get around it. You give me wonderful love. So low, I can get around it. You give me wonderful. It is so beautiful, I can get around it. You give me wonderful. It is so low, I can get around it. You give me wonderful love. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for keeping me. Jesus, thank you for loving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for keeping me. Jesus, thank you for loving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for keeping me. Jesus, thank you for loving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for keeping me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for wiping my tears, for giving me up, for setting my feet on the solid rock. Thank you, God. Thank you for your love. Thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for keeping me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for giving me. Jesus, thank you for loving me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for keeping me. Jesus, thank you for. Oh, somebody say Jesus. Somebody call Jesus. Oh, call his name Jesus. Oh, and he is so high, I can't get up. It is so low, I can't get up. Oh, so wide, I can't get around it. You give me wonderful. It is so low, I can get under it. It is so beautiful, I can run out of it. You give me wonderful love. It is so wonderful. You give me wonderful love. And it is so high, I can't get over it. So low, I can't get under it. It is so high, I can't get over it. So low, I can't get under it. So wide, I can't get around it. Jesus, you give me wonderful love.
Praise the Lord. Praise the living Jesus. By the special grace of God, we have a servant of God in our midst this day to minister the word, to bless us from the word of God. And I would like you to rise up on your feet and clap your hands. I welcome our daddy in the Lord, Pastor Dele Odechi.
Choir, can you sing this one for me? You will pardon me, I do not have so much good voice like you. But what the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell it all. What the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell it all. What the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell it all. He saved me and washed me in blood. So I can shout hallelujah. I can shout hallelujah. I can shout praise the Lord. So I can shout hallelujah. I can shout hallelujah. I can shout praise the Lord. What the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell done so much for me, taking away my sorrow. Glory, hallelujah. It is coming to take me home. He has done so much for me. He has taken away my sorrow. Oh, glory, hallelujah. He's coming to take me home. Everlasting Father, we thank you. What you have done for us, we cannot count them all. You have done so much for us. We have received so much benefit from you. Lord, we bless your name this afternoon. Let your name alone be exalted, Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus. For your goodness, for your kindness, for your faithfulness in our life. We have returned with heart full of thanksgiving. Lord, accept our thanks, Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, King of glory. Lord, as we go in your word, Father, speak to us, Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, King of glory. In Jesus' mighty name, we are praying. Praise the Lord. You may be seated. God bless you. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to come back. And I'm glad to see you all radiating the glory of God. And it's my prayer that the glory of God will never depart from your life in the mighty name of Jesus. Every good thing that befits you, that befits that glory of God in your life, the Lord will do for you in Jesus' name. Whatever it is that does not bring glory to God in your life, the Lord will take them away in the mighty name of Jesus. So thank the pastor for inviting me. And the title of the message, the Spirit of the Lord has laid on my heart to share with you. I'm sure you can already get that from that song, those two songs. What the Lord has done for me, I cannot tell it all. He has done so much for me. He has taken away my sorrow. Glory, hallelujah. Jesus is coming back to take me home. The title of the message this morning is Forget Not His Benefit. Forget not His benefit. Because many a times we ruminate on things that are not done. We forget those things that He has done. And as we said, He has done so much for me. He has taken away my sorrow. He has done so much for me. Glory, hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Forget not His benefit. It is good all the time to reflect on the goodness of the Lord in our life and give Him thanks. It is so good to take our eyes away from the storm and the challenges of life and bring into remembrance all the good things that the Almighty God has been doing in our life. And to remember that every day He loads our life with benefit. No wonder in the book of Psalm 68, verse 19 to 20, do not forget the title of the message is what? Forget not His benefit. He said, blessed be the Lord. Psalm 68, verse 19 to 20. He said, blessed be the Lord, who daily loaded us with benefit. The word loaded means continually. It didn't say monthly. He said daily. He loaded our life with benefit. Even the God of our salvation. He saved us from evil every day. Look at verse 20. He said, He that is our God, He is the God of salvation, and unto God the Lord belong the issues of death. He said, blessed be to our God, who daily loaded our life with benefit. Even the God of our salvation. In fact, the Berean Study Bible put it this way. The Berean Study Bible. It says, blessed be the Lord, who daily bears our burden. The burden that we think we are carrying, the Lord is carrying the burden on our behalf. Even the God of our salvation, he said, God is a God of deliverance. The Lord God is our rescuer from death. This is a man who can think deeply and remember that whatever he's going through, every day he receives benefit from God. He said he daily load our life with benefit. Not monthly, not yearly, not once in a lifetime, but he daily load our life with benefit. The title is Forget Not His Benefit. No wonder David wrote in Psalm 103, he said, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not his benefit. Maybe the time David wrote this psalm, maybe the natural man was telling him there was no need to praise God. Maybe the devil was telling him, Samuel anointed you as a king. How come that you are just moving from one jungle to another? And the flesh wants to reflect on what God has promised and what God has not done. And so maybe his soul was about to be downcast within him. You know, in another psalm, he said, why art thou cast down my soul? He said, thou shalt yet praise the Lord. So David now was talking to himself. He called a meeting between his soul, his spirit, and his body. And he began to command his soul. My soul, even though you think there is no reason to praise God now, maybe I am not where I thought I should be. He was talking to his soul, but you must praise the Lord. He called the soul, the body, and the spirit together. Psalm 103 verse 1. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Again, maybe he thought his soul was not listening to him. He had to repeat it again. He said, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not his benefit. My soul, please remember the benefit of God. Do not forget the benefit of God. And he began to recount those benefits. Because there's a need for us sometimes to bring back into remembrance the benefit that we receive from God. Because the Bible says he daily loaded our life with benefit. In verse 3, he began to recount it. Maybe his soul was not listening. He says, who forgiveth all thy iniquities? Who healeth all thy diseases? He was telling his soul, you know what you have done, but God forgave you all your iniquities without you doing anything for it, and healed you of all your diseases. He was telling his soul, there are some people who are diseased, who could not get out of their bed. When he said, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, now it was now begin to speak to everything in him. It's like he was telling my eyes, there are many eyes that are open that cannot see, so you must praise the Lord. He began to recount the benefit of God in his life. It's like he looked at his hand. Even though you are not on the throne waving the staff of office, but this hand, I can still lift you up to praise God. You must praise the Lord. Forget not his benefit. It's like David was saying, maybe I'm not sitting on the throne, but this leg, I can jump. I can dance. My leg, forget not the benefit of God. You must praise the Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul. It started from this place of the soul and began to move into the physical. He looked at his ears. I can still hear. There are people who have ears who cannot hear. My ear, you must praise the Lord. Verse 4 says, who redeemed thy life from destruction? There are many that have been destroyed. There are many who will pay anything to be where you are today. The brother told us, he said, breakthrough is a different level. It means different to many people. He said that when we were planning to come to Canada, We were just say, God, open the door. And the Lord opened the door. He said that is a breakthrough. Is that because there are people that apply 10 times. 10 times they send it back. They never give to them. There are still today people who are on the mountaintop in Nigeria. They are praying very hard to be in Canada. They just want to be where you are. Doing the work that we are doing today that we cannot thank God for. They just want to live. We have forgotten that time that we are moving from Okekoyi to the one in Erio Ekiti. Now we are here. We have said another standard before God. We don't even remember the one that He has done in the past. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not His benefit. Who crowned thee with loving kindness and tender mercy, who satisfied thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like eagles. Look at verse 10. He said, He had not dealt with us after our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquities. You know, if God used to behave the way He dealt with people of Israel, maybe I would be dead by now. Because I knew before I gave my life to, I was rebellious. Even if He forgave me before I committed those sins, I will gather my group together to make the life of SUs on campus hell. Because we are candidates of different kingdom. But He forgave me. The same way He forgave you, don't tell me that you were born a saint. You didn't do anything at all. It's only me. Let the Redeemer of the Lord say so. The Lord redeemed us. He saved us. He washed us in His blood. One brother came to me, and the mother said, talk to this boy. I'm tired. I said, what is the problem? He said, I've committed sin so much in my life that God can never forgive me. I said, what did you do? The only thing I've not done, I've not killed human being. I've not killed a person. But what is it? I've blasphemed this same God. Even if you have killed somebody, once you go to Him, He will forgive you. He's a merciful God. Even the fact that He forgave us is a benefit. He had not dealt with us after our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquities. But as heaven is high above the earth, so great is His mercy towards them that fear Him. Don't forget the focus of my message today. If there's only one thing I want to remember, is that what? Forget not His benefit. In Psalm 116, verse 12, the psalmist declares, what shall I render unto the Lord for all His benefits towards me? You cannot thank God, you cannot praise God if you cannot reflect on His benefit. This man does realize, what can I do for God? What can I render unto God for all His benefit towards me? Psalm 116, verse 12. But because before this man made this statement, that means he already pondered over the benefit. He called them into remembrance. And then after He has brought them together, calling the soul, the spirit, and body together. In my language, they say He called the arrow and the odofin, all the sheep in your body. You bring them together to a meeting. And then He said, this God is so good. What can I render unto the Lord for all His benefit towards me? It's because He reflected on those benefits. That was why I was now thinking of what can I do? What can we give to God other than praise? Let's read that from verse 6. That same 116. This man began to recount the blessing of God. Psalm 116 from verse 6. He said, the Lord preserved the simple. I was brought low, and He helped me. And now he began to remember them. Return unto thy rest, O my soul. He now began to talk to himself. My soul, you can rest now. Because the Lord has helped you, and He will help you more. O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with thee. How good it is to recount the blessing of God. It brings unspeakable joy. And He kept my feet from falling, my ears from tears. He has delivered my soul from death. He began to remember them. Remember that there were people they were born at the same time who are no more. He said, I believe therefore have I spoken. I was greatly afflicted. I said in my haste, all men are liars. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefit towards me? And he said, I will take up the cup of salvation. I will call upon the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows. I will bless him. I will appreciate him. I will thank him. The only thing that brought this man to this stage, that he began to ask his soul, what shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits? Because he remembered those benefits. He began to recount them. He began to remind himself. It is easy for us to forget. And if we don't remember them, we will not know how to thank God for them. He said, what shall I render unto the Lord? What can we render but praise? That particular verse 13 says, I will pour out an offering of wine unto you. That's how some version put it. And I'll pray in your name because you have saved me. The only thing we can give to him is praise. But you cannot praise him unless you remember his goodness in your life. Psalm 65 verse 1 says, praise wait for you in Zion, O God. Unto you shall all the vow be performed. Because it says, I will pay my vow. Vow is a place of praise. Psalm 147 verse 1 says, Psalm 147 verse 1, it said, praise ye the Lord, for it is good to sing praises unto our God, for it is pleasant and praise is comely. You can't praise God unless you remember his goodness. You can praise God unless you bring into remembrance his benefit in your life. And praise is waiting for God always in Zion. I say, praise ye the Lord. It is good to sing unto God, for it is pleasant and praise is comely. The word comely means is irresistible. It is very pleasant unto God. Your praise will move him on his throne, even when your prayer cannot. Your praise, when you give God quality praise, it will move him on his throne and do far above what you think or imagine. Thank God my children are not here because they don't want me to mention their name when I'm preaching. So don't tell them I mentioned their name here. When Emmanuel was growing up, my wife realized that Emmanuel liked pizza. All of a sudden, my wife started learning how to make pizza. One day, my wife just learned how to make pizza and made a very beautiful pizza. My son ate this pizza and looked at my wife and said, you are the best mother in the world. Before I knew what was happening, my wife was learning how to bake cake because he liked cake. Because he showed that he loved it, he thanked the mother. There is no mother like you. When we give praise, it moves God to do more on our behalf. That small boy just said, there is no mother like you. My wife, since then I know that if I want to eat pounded yam, I know what to say. Am I in the house? The woman cooked amala yesterday. You didn't praise, and they want to eat pounded yam today. You will eat bread with tea. When you praise God, he will make your mountain an highway before you. So what looked like a mountain? You are looking at how am I going to go through this mountain? And the mountain is standing before you like a rock of Gibraltar. You don't even know how to cross to the other side. And then you begin to praise the Almighty God, looking at what he has done in the past. And as you begin to recollect what he did in the past, you begin to praise him because this mountain shall be moved. He said, I will make my mountain an highway before you. Even valley, he said, I will raise up my valley. It become an express road. And maybe you don't believe it. Isaiah 49 verse 11. Isaiah 49 verse 11 says, I will make all my mountains a way. He will create an express road within the mountain. The mountain will open up. He did it by the Red Sea. Red Sea parted way. Every Red Sea that stands between you and the promise of God, they will part way in the name of Jesus. Every mountain, the Lord will make them an express road. He said, and I will make all my mountains, not just one, a way. And my highway shall be exalted. Now, my highway shall be exalted, some scripture says, and my valley, the one you see valley, that you say, how am I going to get out of this ditch? He said, I will lift them up. It become an highway before you. Because I'm taking you to a promised land. But before you can move, you need to learn to remember his benefit. Brethren, let us forget about those things that are not yet received. Let us look back at those things that he has done. Let us bring them back into memory. Let us recollect them. And as we begin to reflect on them and ponder on them, you will not know when praise will burst out. You will just find yourself praising the Almighty God. The fact that he woke you up this morning is a benefit. There are many that slept last night. They didn't wake up this morning. Do you think it's your alarm that woke you up? Set alarm with somebody who is dead and see if the alarm is going to wake him up. I remember years ago, I was sleeping. Many things, God fought many battles on our behalf in the night. We never know. We're only thinking about the amala that is given out to us without a meat. I lay down in my bed, and dead in the night, the Spirit of God woke me up. And I said, I know God just wanted me to see what happened that night. And said, look at that screen. And I was focusing on the screen. And I saw a man under a tree. And he was assuring the woman, he said, don't worry. Once I called him 3 times and he answered, he will not wake up in the morning. And I was saying, what is it? And the Spirit of God told me, they are going to call your name now. You better start to pray. And what prayer am I going to pray? In 1 second, I was going to mention my name. I was just saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. By the time he called my name 3 times, it was Jesus. Jesus was pronouncing, and the thing disappeared. How many times that the enemy has tried all of us because God did not open your eyes to see those things? You think it's by your power that you went to bed last night and woke up in the morning. The enemy wants you to go to bed. He didn't want you to wake up. The psalmist says, I laid on my bed and I woke up because the Lord sustained me. That is the benefit of God. The Bible says, for him that is joined to the land of the living, there is hope. The fact that God is keeping you alive means there is hope for you, there is hope for me. He has great plan for us. You know, when David was pursued by Absalom, David was driven from the throne by his own son. And the man was sitting on the throne. You can say maybe before he became a king, maybe it was easy for him to keep on praising God because he knew he will become king one day. But his own son drove him away from the throne. And on his way, they were weeping. But at a point in time, he began to reflect on where God was taking him from. In Psalm 3, he said, oh Lord, look at what he said. How are they increased that trouble me? Because his own son gathered people. Many are they that have risen up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, there is no help for him in God. They have in fact, somebody was cursing him. You remember the story very well? They mock him as a king. But at that point, it was, for a natural man, it's time to begin to do pity party. But look at what he said in verse 3. But thou, O Lord, you are a shield for me. You are my glory and the lifter of my head. I have cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill, Selah. I lay me down and slept. I awake, for the Lord sustained me. Even though he was no longer on the throne, he remembered the fact that he was still alive in that jungle. It's because God sustained him. I don't know if you remember that when Ahithophel gave a counsel, if God has not turned that counsel into foolishness, that night David would have been dead. There are many battles that Lord fight for us that we never see. In the night, in the day. It is his benefit. God inhabits in the praise of his people. But we cannot praise God except we take our eyes from the present challenges of life. Because the challenges of today will become testimony tomorrow. Why don't we begin to praise God now? The time of waiting for that manifestation is the time to reflect on what has been done. Not to concentrate what has not been done and give thanks unto the Lord. Before I close, I'll talk about the man of God. I read Psalm 77 to us in the Sunday school. When David himself, even at the point in time he was concentrating on the prosperity of the wicked. He lost his sleep. He lost everything. My time will not allow me to go to that one. He said, until I went into the house of the Lord, and everything about David changed. He began to praise God. Until you go back and begin to remember what he has done, you will not learn how to praise him. A man called Jeremiah was a prophet in Israel. One of the major prophets. The Lord called Jeremiah. The Lord told Jeremiah, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. And I ordained you a prophet to nation. God empowered him, but the Lord told him, look, the Father I call you does not mean they will not wage war against you. Even the Bible said they will fight against us, but they will not overcome us. And the Lord promised Jeremiah, there was nothing they did do to this man. It got to a point they threw him into a bottomless pit, leave him there to die. If not God that rescued him. And then he wrote that book you call Lamentations. Those were the lamentations of Jeremiah. He lamented about the plight of Israel. The people of God that suffer because of disobedience. And he warned them, if you don't turn away from your evil, the Lord's wrath will come. But the only thing, when the wrath of God came, it came upon everybody. Jeremiah partook of the suffering of the time. And if you look at Lamentations chapter 1, chapter 2, this man was lamenting on the problem of the people of Israel. And then when you get to chapter 3, he now begins to focus on his own challenge. He begins to look at his own difficulty. I didn't sin like them, but I'm suffering. And let me just read from verse 17 to you. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 17. And thou hast removed my soul far out from peace. That is Jeremiah. There was no more peace. He said, thou hast removed my soul far from peace. I forgot prosperity. And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from the Lord. Because he was looking at the challenges and the difficulties. So he lost his peace. He was not even thinking about prosperity of the past, of the future. And he said, even his strength and everything even the hope was perished. He said, remembering, look at verse 19. He said, remembering my affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall. Now, what he called into remembrance was the suffering of that time. I remember my affliction. I remember the trouble. I remember how the king is dealing with me. He said, my soul had them still in remembrance and is humbled in me. As long as Jeremiah focused on the challenges he was facing, as long as he kept on thinking about the affliction, peace eluded him. There was no more hope. That is why the unbelievers commit suicide, because the devil will take the hope from them. They have no hope of a better tomorrow. The Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, the joy cometh in the morning. There is a joy in the morning. There is a joy in the morning. Oh, child of God, cry no more. There is a joy in the morning. Your morning of joy will come speedily in the mighty name of Jesus. Today, it might be a struggle here and there. And we are praying this morning that struggle will come to an end. There shall be no more toil in Jesus' name. And then in verse 21, as I wrap up, I know you got my message now, it's clear. He said, this I recall to mind. After I realized that he lost hope, people don't commit suicide until they have lost hope. No more hope. No more peace, no more joy. But then he said, I remember. Look at it. This I recall to mind. Therefore, I have what? Hope. That it is the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed. Even in the midst of all the troubles of that time, Jeremiah began to remember, we would have all been consumed if not for God's mercy. And therefore, I have hope came back. He said, because his compassion faileth not. They are new every morning. Great is, he now began to remember the faithfulness of God. Is there anyone who will say God has not been faithful? I don't think there's anybody here. Every morning you wake up, the Lord renew his compassion for you. He said they are new every morning. And he said, God is good. Look at it. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore, I will hope in him. Don't you think that man has changed? The man who focused on the challenges and forgot the benefit of God. He was saying there was no more hope. Peace has eluded me. There is no more strength. Right now, he said, I remember. It is by the mercy of God that we are not consumed. He said, that now I have hope. Look at it. He began to praise God. He said, the Lord is good unto them that wait for him. The soul that seeketh him, he began to praise him. Brethren, my message to us this morning is short. Forget not his benefit. There is power in what you recall. If you are recalling the challenges and difficulties of today, it will stand on your way of praising God. But you know there is power in praises. When you praise God, you praise yourself into victory. You praise yourself into success. You praise yourself into breakthrough. The devil wants us to dwell on what we do not have. He wants us to forget about what God has done in our life. Those children God has given to you, there are people who have been married for years that believe in God. You are sitting in the church today, there are many that are on the hospital bed. Brethren, forget not his benefit. Let's rise up on our feet. I want you to just begin to recollect. I want to bring it to remembrance now. If you think God has done anything for you, I want you to bring them into remembrance. I want to begin to appreciate God for them. If you know God has done one thing, just thank God for those things now. If you know the fact that you are alive today is by the grace of God. If you know the fact that you are sitting or standing here is by the power of the Almighty God. The Bible said this, how I will know that the Almighty God is pleased with me, because he did not allow the enemy to triumph over me. Do you think because you can fight? Somebody said the enemy is coming, carry gun and put by his side. So when the witch comes, I'm going to shoot the witch. The witch is not going to knock the door. You're not going to see him physically. But David said, I lay me on my bed. I woke up in the morning because the Lord sustained me. Remember his faithfulness this morning. Remember his goodness this morning. And tell God, I'm sorry if I have not thanked you enough for them. Remember all those things that he has done for you. He has done so much for me. He has taken away my sorrow. Glory, hallelujah. That's why we taught in the school. It's not about how much money we have in our pocket. I don't care about if you drive Lamborghini, God bless you because you are riding by Lamborghini. But what God has given me, I will appreciate it. Even if it is Volkswagen, because it will give me a greater car tomorrow. Let's appreciate him this morning. And say, Father, I thank you. Blessed be to your name, Lord. In the mighty name of Jesus. Remember them now because I'm going to pray for you. Appreciate God for them. Say, Father, I thank you, Jesus. Thank you for my husband. You didn't allow the enemy to take away my husband. You didn't allow the death to take away my wife. The children you have given to me, I'm keeping them. Won't you appreciate God? Say, Father, I thank you. I will not forget your benefit. I bring them into remembrance. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' mighty name, we are praying. I stand upon the rock that is called Jesus, and I declare, every of those things you are waiting on God for, I declare in the mighty name of Jesus, that speedily heaven will accomplish them for you in the mighty name of Jesus. Because you have praised him this morning, you are brought into remembrance his benefit. I declare every challenges of today will become testimony in the mighty name of Jesus. The Bible said the expectation of the righteous will lead to celebration. Concerning every of your expectation this morning, I pray you will invite me to this church to come and celebrate with you in the mighty name of Jesus. Every mountain will become an highway before you. Every valley will become an express road. And so shall it be. In Jesus' name we are praying.
Praise the Lord. Church, please, let's stretch forth our hands towards the man of God and let's pray for him. Let's pray that God will give him the grace not to forget the benefits that God has given to his life. That all the days of his life, he will continue to recount the blessings of God. He will continue to remember the benefits of God upon his life, upon his career, upon his ministry, upon his marriage. That he will continue to praise God all the days of his life. That he will praise himself into victory. That he will continue to worship God in praise all the days of his life. That the devil will never make him to forget the benefits of the Lord. No matter what the situation comes to his life, he will always remember that the Lord is Lord forever. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Praise the Lord. Praise Master Jesus. Good afternoon, everyone. It's announcement time. First of all, we want to go around and give a handshake to your friends and your families and your neighbors. And just tell them, count your blessings, name them one by one. Just sing it. Sing, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Praise the Lord. We shall continue to count our blessings in Jesus' name. We will never forget his benefits in the mighty name of Jesus. Praise the Lord. Do we have anyone that is worshiping with us for the first time? Anybody? Anybody? Praise the Lord. One of the ways to count God's blessings is to do what? To share our joy with the world, so that they too will come and receive from the Lord. Tuesday this week will be our digging deep from 7 p.m. to 8:30 or 8:15 p.m. Please, if you are not working, do not be on your bed, do not be on the TV. Try to be in the presence of God for us to study the Word of God. On Thursday this week, we will now be having our prayer and revival hour. Thursday this week, we will now be having our prayer and revival hour. And as we go down, we will know why. Praise the Lord. But Tuesday we'll come here, Thursday we will not come. Our 3 days fasting and prayer for the month of May shall be coming this week on Tuesday the 28th, Wednesday 29th, and Thursday the 30th. On Tuesday we'll fast and we'll come to church to conclude. So it will be digging deep and prayer as the Lord leads us. On Wednesday and on Thursday we will be fasting and we'll conclude the prayers in our respective homes. Please don't forget 28th, 29th, and 30th. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, let's conclude the month of May in our usual way. And God will hear our prayers in Jesus' name. Our POS terminal is working. The devil wanted to prove himself this morning, but the devil is a liar. So please use the POS as usual. If you don't have your check or you don't have cash, please, the church has made provision for us with the terminal. And remember to please include the merchant copy in an envelope and address the envelope properly. Don't take it home. The ushers will be there to help you. Praise the Lord. We still have our Divine Acceleration t-shirts for sale. It is $10. Our sale is still going on. We've been announcing if we do not have your size, please write down your size, write the color you want, or whether you want short sleeve or long sleeve. Most of the children in the church now do not have those shirts. If your kids do not have it, it's only $10 for one. You want them to be identified as members of this church. Please, the Lord will help you. The Lord will help me in Jesus' name. There will be a summer Bible camp organized for children between the ages of 6 to 12. The theme will be the cross of Jesus. Date is Saturday, July 13, 2019, and the venue will be St. Martha's Canadians, 1007 Windsor Street. The time will be from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The price is $25 per child, and it covers registration, meals, crafts, souvenir, and bouncy castle. Please see the ushers, and you can see the flyers at the back in the notice board. Praise the Lord. So, here comes the wedding announcement. Bro Joseph said, who? Please be on your feet, please. You and Sister Fumbi. I know some people here do not know Bro Joseph and Sister Fumbi. Here comes the young man and the young lady. Praise the Lord. As the Lord will have it, our sister Fumbi and Bro Joseph's wedding will be coming up this Saturday, June the 1st. Please put a hand together for our Lord Jesus Christ. Yes, it's finally here. And the church service will be at Jesus House of All Nations, 10 a.m. on Saturday. 10 a.m. at Jesus House, 601 East Lake Avenue. Reception will follow immediately after the service at St. Martha's Canadians, 1007 Windsor Street. If you will not be there, tell Brother Joseph that you will not come. If you will not come, tell Brother Joseph that you will not come. They are still standing up. So, Brother Joseph, you expect everybody here on that day. The Lord is good. Please have your seat. Please, this is our wedding. They are both members of this church. We all know them. Please, let's come out in mass and glorify the name of the Lord. Yeah, more details will actually be passed to us via the church WhatsApp. Okay? Please, details will pass us more via the church WhatsApp as we go on. The church service is at Jesus House, 10 a.m. And then the reception will be at St. Martha's Canadians, 1007 Windsor Street. Details to come later. Praise the Lord. Next Sunday is the first Sunday in the month of June, and as usual, that will be our Thanksgiving Sunday. Remember to recount his benefits. Please come with your dancing shoes as usual, and let's thank our God as we count our blessings. Praise the Lord. We have our prayer box at the back of the church. Please write your prayer points and put it in there, and the Salvation Army will continue to pray for them. And we're also being reminded to remember our commitment to the church building. Please do not forget that we have that commitment to make sure that we have a breakthrough. And God has given that to us. It's just a matter of time. And we'll claim it in Jesus' name. Our Sunday services are now being recorded, and we'll find them on Facebook and on YouTube. You just need to Google RCCG Grace Sanctuary, and you find them. Whatever Sunday you want, just select the dates, and they will appear. And you can use them for evangelism as well. If there are further announcements, the pastor will make that known to us. And as we remain connected, we'll also hear that via the church WhatsApp. Praise the Lord. Please put a hand together for our Lord Jesus Christ.
The Lord. Praise the Lord. It's offering time. This is time to show the act of thanksgiving. We've heard about thanking God this morning. And let's thank God with our substances. I just want us to begin to package our offering. If you don't have anything to give, just give your dancing offering. God is, asking you this morning to give your dancing offering. And let's not forget our offering is in two phases. Our tithe and offering and our church building offering. Please, let's package our offering. As we are packaging our offering, let's remember to give a dancing offering to God as well. I pray God Almighty will help us in Jesus' name. Please, choir.
Since I was born, and now I am getting old.
I have never seen the Lord change it.
Since I was born, and now I am getting old.
I have never seen the Lord change it.
Others, have you seen it?
No, 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 no. Since I was born, I have never seen the Lord change it.
Sisters, have you seen it?
No, 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 no. Since I was born, I have never seen the Lord change it.
Since I was born, and now I am getting old.
I have never seen the Lord change it.
Oh, since I was born, and now I am getting old.
I have never seen the Lord change it.
Brothers, have you seen it?
No, 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 no. Since I was born,
I have never seen
the Lord change it.
Sisters, have you seen it?
No, 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 no. Since I was born, I have never seen the Lord change it.
There is something that makes me come into your presence.
My helper.
There is something that makes me come into your presence.
My helper.
You are my helper, oh.
My helper.
My helper, eh.
My helper.
You are my helper, oh.
My helper.
My helper, eh.
My helper.
Ah, there is something that makes me come into your presence.
My helper.
Praise the Lord. As you are standing, I just want you to talk to God. Ask God what you want God to do for you. Because you have honored God with your substances this morning, ask God as you are going in the week, what would you want God to do for you this morning? Even as you are proceeding in the week, let's begin to pour our heart to God. Because we have honored God with our substance this morning, we have given to God. In what area are you expecting return from God? In what area are you waiting on God? There's time of waiting, but I tell you, brethren, your time of waiting is over now. It's time for you to begin to harvest. Because what of God told us, he said, and Isaac sowed in that land. And he said, that very year he reaped in 100-fold, and the God blessed him. Because you have sown to the work of God this morning, begin to ask God as you move forward in this week, as you go forward in all the days of your life, that the blessings of God will continue to be with you in the mighty name of Jesus. For in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed.
Amen.
Ancient of Days, we bless your name, we magnify you. We worship you for everything you have done for us. Because from what you have given unto us, we return to you this morning. Father, we say, may your name be glorified in the name of Jesus. Father, because we have hearkened to your voice and we have honored you, Father, in return you will honor us in the name of Jesus Christ. Father, because we have blessed even your work, with our substances. Father, we pray this morning you will bless us in return in the name of Jesus Christ. I said the blessings of God in this week, Father, it will not elude us in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Because we have sown to the work of God, Father, I pray anything that concerns our life, Father, you will remember us in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. So we sanctify this offering in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Just a quick one. Ushers, wait and see me before you go. The choir, I will have said you wait to see me, but I will send your leader to you. Praise the Lord. So immediately after the service, I want to see the ushers. Amen. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for the service of today. We bless you, Lord Father, for reminding us once again that it is essential to remember all your good works, that we should not forget your benefits. We know that by not forgetting your benefits, we are going to get more from you. Father in heaven, we say thank you. We thank you, Lord Father, because you didn't allow the enemy to still put that covering upon our faces so that we will not be able to see that it's essential to thank you for all that you have done, even in the past. Father in heaven, we say thank you. Be the accepted, Father, in the mighty name of Jesus. King of glory, as your children go this week, Lord Father, let them go with a heart that praise you at all times, that thank you for all that you have done. And as they are doing this, Lord Father, oh Lord, I pray, you will remember them for greatness in the mighty name of Jesus. You remember them for goodness in the mighty name of Jesus. Even that which that has been eluded them before, Lord Father, oh Lord, I pray, even as they have the heart of thanksgiving, as they begin to thank you, Lord Father, you will open the doors of greatness unto them in the mighty name of Jesus. That good door that has closed before, Lord Father, you begin to open them in the mighty name of Jesus. King of glory, as your children go this week, you go before them. Every arrow that fly by day, the one that fly by night, none shall come near their dwellings in the mighty name of Jesus. And the wedding of your children that will be taking place this coming weekend, Lord Father, we hand over unto you once again. Take absolute control in the mighty name of Jesus. Magnify yourself through that wedding in the mighty name of Jesus. Glorify yourself through that wedding in the mighty name of Jesus. Father in heaven, we say thank you. Blessed be your name, God of glory. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Let's share the grace in fellowship. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our life, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Let's join our hands together as we sing our family song.
Into one.
are going to do this afternoon is simple. You will shake hand with Brother Joseph and tell him husband in the making. And shake hand with Sister Fumbi and say wife in the making.